Oh, 40-201-202.
Sorry, what was that?
Idaho code 40-201-202 and 605.
Thank you.
Morning. Go ahead and call the road and bridge meeting to order for January 20th, 2026. And start with.
So I think we've got representatives from Inbound Gas here to talk to you today. We've also got a representative from ROX Engineering, but not sure who's gonna kind of present information. Gas.
Mr. Chair, Lance, just for the record, maybe if you give us just a brief introduction to this
Okay.
situation. Yeah.
The situation is that there is a high pressure gas main line on 49th North that is in slight conflict with a new proposed bridge that we have planned. Since it's in conflict with that bridge, Ottawa County and ROX Engineering has talked with Intermountain Gas. We've requested them to remove and replace the gas main in an area that is not in conflict with the bridge abutments. We've talked to them multiple times. And letter basically requesting a meeting with the county commissioners to discuss what we have been, what Ottawa County and ROX Engineering has been informed that Intermountain Gas would prefer to leave the gas main where it is instead of relocating it. So that is the situation. Ottawa County and ROX Engineering has sent the information to the commissioners before and saying we really feel that it is in the best interest of the county long-term for risk management to have the gas main through the portion of the bridge relocated.
Thank you. So who's going to represent for Intermountain?
Yeah, it'll probably be me and Randy. So thank you, commissioners. My name is Brandon Lance. I serve as the regional director for Intermountain Gas Company over this side of the state, Idaho Falls, Pocatello, also Montana and Wyoming. So just kind of high level, this line, the 16-inch high pressure line does feed all areas north. So it feeds roughly 30,000 customers downstream from this location. So it's a pretty major line to us. Lots of value to us. We have some concerns with it. So we've reviewed the plans on the bridge, and our engineers are here. And when we're talking about it interfering with the bridge, from the plans that we've received, we believe that that's only about 1 foot of the footing. And when we talk footing, what we've been told is it's not concrete footing or anything like that that will be impacted into that bridge structure. So it's not running all the way through the footing from what we've been provided, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but just one little section of that, probably just a few feet of that being inside the gravel footing of that. So obviously this is pretty major impact for us to move. It's just to get the line around it, we're estimating about 3 months, or not, sorry, 3 months, that'll freak you out, 3 weeks to do the construction. And then when we actually do the bypass over on it, another week. So let's just say a month worth of construction to get this bypassed over. There's always, we're experts in our pipeline. We're not experts in building bridges, but we're experts in operating our pipeline. And as we look at this and say where it's placed today, into where they're proposing to go around, we feel it's better and safer for our pipeline to stay where it's at versus try to move it around and go through this whole exercise. You know, we've looked for other options, and I think one of the things that we received, and whether we were to receive it or not, we did receive a letter from Shannon and Wilson, who I think is their geotech engineer, that had some pretty easy solutions to this that went around that. I believe this was retracted and not redacted or pulled back. Maybe we shouldn't have received it, but it provided some pretty easy solutions, what we thought could have been done, just to those baskets that are gonna go down there that cut the wiring around our line could stay there. Pretty easy solution to this issue, to where our pipeline could stay there. I know there's concerns. I have concerns with moving it. So engineers.
Some of the concerns, as we were to go into, we'd have to put in what are called stoppable fittings on each end of the bridge, which basically, when all said and done, there are protrusions that do come up. In this case, probably about 18 inches above the line that will be there permanently now. And those are most commonly one of the things that are damaged in future projects is when we have protrusions or something. You're following along the pipeline and all of a sudden there's something that's up another 1.5 feet that can oftentimes get hit in future projects and stuff like that if they're not taken care of. So that is one thing there. We've looked at the impacts from the information that we've been provided. Our engineering services department has looked at that, and we feel that the interference will not affect the integrity of the pipeline at all. It still has plenty of covers, plenty of surface area to keep it buried and protected from future dig-ins. And we don't anticipate any issues with this pipeline underneath this or within this bridge above.
What was your name again, sir?
Brandon Lance.
I know yours, one.
Well, I'm sorry, Rennie Sorensen.
Randy,
Yes. I'm the manager of engineering services.
thank you. And what you were talking about, this letter from Shannon Wilson, where did that come from? Who is that?
One of our employees received it, and then I believe the email was pulled back.
Shannon Wilson is a subcontractor to our engineer. They were doing a geotechnical investigation for the first time.
It feels like the only solution provided was just to move the gas line. And in most cases, if this was a smaller diameter gas line, smaller impact, we would just move it. We wouldn't even be having this conversation. We would just be moving it. But the impact to our system, what you're asking us to do, we just don't see the value in it for us. If we felt there was a safety concern, we'd be moving. But what we've been provided, where your bridge structure is going to be versus our gas line, we just don't see that that's a benefit to our customers. Not that it's about cost, but rough estimate of $500,000 to move this line around the structure.
So this is Austin Black. I'm the Chief Operations Officer for the county, and I've talked to Lance and the commissioners about this. I think a little more of our concern, less than the line being left where it is, as far as when the bridge structure is actually placed there, is the actual construction process. And if the crews hit the line or do something to damage the line in that process, can you speak to that a little bit and what that would look like? Because we do understand it's a major line that services most of the area. And I think a lot of our concern was if one of the construction crews hits that during construction, are we putting 30,000 people out of gas for what extended period of time? And what does that look like?
I think it'd be good to talk about what the process would be to relocate it. What we would do of putting the line, we put the bypass around. However, until we could get a contractor here in winter, so we'd have to go into the summer months to be able to hook up this bypass. So do you want to speak on that a little bit?
I can. I guess kind of your question is during construction if it gets hit, correct?
Yeah, not necessarily moving it. We understand that process and what it would take, but if we leave it where it is, and while we have our crews out there doing the work they need to, if they were to hit and break that line, what does that look like to those 30,000 customers? How would all that shape out?
So if the line were to get hit and damaged, it part would be what is the extent of the damage, because this is a 16-inch steel line. It is quite difficult. It's going to take quite a bit to actually, puncture, rip a very large hole in this thing. So depending on the damage, if it was a catastrophic damage, yes, that would be very serious. And which time we'd have to shut down the entire line and be able to either replace that section or bypass around it, if that were to happen during that time. Our company, typically on critical lines such as this, we have dedicated inspector, someone that's going out on that project during the whole time that line is being exposed, being worked around, just basically having someone on it all the time to, what that is their sole responsibility, is to make sure that that is protected, make sure if anyone's starting to get too close with the equipment that they're flagging them down, making sure that that is being worked around in a safe manner. So that is one thing that we provide to help prevent anything of that nature. And that's typically someone locally here, someone from our construction services, depending on availability, but someone who is there constantly during this time of the project to ensure the safety of that line. Again, the damage, depending on what the damage is, it could be as simple as shutting down the line. If it's an exposed area, you could cut out the section of damaged pipe, install a new section of pipe. If it was some damage to the point where we couldn't do that, then we would have to replace additional pipeline. But major damage would cause the staff to shut down.
I think it's important to note too that we would install, if we're required to move it, we will install that line now, but the existing line will stay active until we can get that bypass done,
Right.
which will have to be later this summer, which will require the bridge structures to stay in place. We can put a bypass over it while we hook up the bypass. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. Like I said, if it was a smaller line diameter risk, probably wouldn't be having these conversations, but it's a pretty major impact.
Yeah, for the most part, we do have our own equipment for smaller lines, but in this case, we have to rely on third-party contractors, so we can't guarantee the timeliness to get the material. I mean, there's long lead times to get these fittings there's only one company who offers them, so we're at the mercy of them as well. It's not something we can do in-house, so I'll just add to that.
When you say that the inspector would be there constantly, tell me what you mean by that, like every day, around the clock while they were working, once a week, what do you mean?
Yeah, historically, what we've done is anytime they're operating around what we call a high pressure line like this, when the construction is planned that day to be around our system, we put an employee there because we are concerned. I mean, things happen and we want to do all that we can to help control. People know it's there. That way they understand the seriousness of it. So we have an employee there while they're working around it. If they were going to be on the south side of the street there, like we wouldn't have them there. But if they have construction planned around us for that day, we'd put an employee there.
What's your name? Sorry.
John Snyder.
John Snyder.
And I guess I just have one more question. So let's say okay, we can leave the line where it is. We go in, do the construction, put the bridge in, do everything we need to do, and 3 years from now, the bridge settles or something happens that causes that line to need to be moved or have some work done to it. Is Intermountain Gas willing to say, okay, we understand that we agreed to leave it there. Now we take the risk or the cost of moving this line or doing whatever we need to do to it at this point?
Yes, if there in the future some type of settling or other type of structural impact does affect the line, yes, for the safety of our line, I'm pretty sure we would move it. Yes.
You have anything, Lance, that you have questions on or wanted to add for
I guess
commissioners?
the rub comes in for me. Who decides about safety of the line? Is it our emergency management person or yours? And if they disagree, then where are we?
Well, ultimately, commissioners, if you tell us we have to move it, We're gonna move it.
Well, we understand that, but your ratepayers are also our taxpayers.
Your
But we don't
ratepayers.
want-
I hear that from time to time, that the company,
Does us.
yeah, absolutely. I think, we sometimes hear the company just needs to do that. Well, the company is the ratepayers, just like your customers are the taxpayers, like they're the same people.
I think maybe speak to Commissioner Mallards if I could. Sure. Having been on the other side, she mentioned her emergency manager and, make a call here and the emergency manager's gonna go to field expert. It's probably sitting in this room to say, is this the risk to your life? What's the risk? How do we get that risk? How do we plan for which case? Those kind of questions. I like graphics. I like pictures. Okay, so we're looking at a rains or stabilizing base that goes underneath the concrete footings. Bring that wire back so that it fits around the thing. And I'd like to see what that actually looked like. We're not seeing that.
Maybe we could.
Somebody who's reviewing this later is gonna say, well, I'm seeing that. But that's just me.
Maybe we could hear.
Let me speak. We have stands, you can see me in the back, but Chairman, Commissioner Drew Meppen at Four Oaks Engineers, the project manager for the project. Yeah, as far as the construction goes on the abutment, it is an IPS system, so it's an integrated bridge. That's the superstructure, the bridge deck, and the abutments are all just on. So as the bridge expands and contracts, the loads are dispersed to this abutment system that does consist of soil or aggregate, and it's not a typical abutment where you see a concrete with rebar, but it's reinforced with a fabric with wire to kind of tie it. So where the conflict is, initially when we approached Intermountain Gas, we had an idea that the conflict was, I think, a little more impactful than we found out as we did potholing. We found out that it wasn't as bad. I think that kind of changed the conversation to, well, can that stay in place? And as we discussed it with the geotech engineer who would be the expert on our end to guide us on settlement after the bridge is in place and kind of the workaround to maintain the integrity of that abutment wall and foundation. I think there are possible solutions there to work around the pipeline. The reason the letter was rescinded was that there's some unknown issues that haven't been fully vetted yet on the settlement and understanding of the risk. So at this point, there hasn't been any level of effort or resources spent to fully kind of engineer that out and investigate kind of what that risk really is and impacts. So that's the reason why the letter was kind of rescinded, sent kind of a little prematurely. The things that we look at as an engineering team are, number one, cost. What's this additional cost going to be to engineer and make sure that we understand it and reduce the risk as much as we can on the engineering. And then the cost of the impact to the schedule is another concern for us. I know not to speak for Lance, but that's what's been communicated to us as far as keeping the project moving forward. And then the other item again would be the other two items that when we talk about risk is during construction, there's only so much that we can put in a contract and ensure that the contractor can do his due diligence to protect that line. And then again, I already mentioned this, but the settlement in the future is what we we would like to understand. And that takes some time to put that together, so. I don't know if that answers any questions, or if you have any other questions for me.
That's what it says to me, is that there's still other options that we could do, but they just haven't been researched. Is that?
Yeah. We haven't put any, additional scope to our contract to vet that out. The original plan was, in the beginning, was to have that line relocated.
So the concern that I have with what Drew was saying of the schedule is this road section has basically been committed by previous commissioners to be open this in the fall of 2026. And I don't know how long it's going to take to research these other options or how much it's going to cost.
Or how long it's going to take to relocate the gas line.
Yeah, we don't know any of those things. But I think when it comes down to, I'm trying to do everything I can to help meet the schedule to get the road done by the fall of 2026. And in order to do that, we need to go out to bid pretty fast without knowing what is going to happen, whether it's leaving in place and redesigning and redoing stuff, or moving and going that direction and trying to get this out to bid the way the plans were originally intended to be, I think. And going out to bid with a contractor as soon as we possibly can to get this under construction, as soon as we can.
How much is it going to cost the county to explore the other alternatives when you say expand the scope of the contract?
Yeah, Chairman Ballard, we would need to take a little bit of time, but it wouldn't be super in amount, but, upwards of the 50,000. Our contract amount is around 680,000. Is what we have under contract currently with Bonneville County.
So just as a question, the gas line portion is specific to where the bridge is, right?
Yes.
So that's west of the school property
Yes.
currently. So, I mean, obviously the desire is to have it open in the fall, but I just am thinking out loud. I guess if we had to, we could always try to get the eastern portion of the road done too, and then leave the western portion closed. If it takes us a month or a couple months longer to explore the bridge options, I mean, obviously that's not the ideal, but there's those type of options, right?
Those, sorry, here. This section that we're talking about, unfortunately, it's influenced by water in, water out.
Yeah.
So is that the actual deadline that we're looking at?
We have made
Stir up the rocks.
We have made arrangements within the design of it to have a bypass flow for the water to continue to operate in Sand Creek and still allow the bridge to be constructed. We've already taken that into account.
The gas line, though, to be able to be constructed.
Would you state your name, Mr.?
Oh, sorry. Randy Sorensen. For the gas line to be constructed, we would have to get at least a portion underneath the canal area in with before the water is there, because we would have to open trench that, and we wouldn't be able to fit the gas line in there. All of the water bypasses in place.
Based on what you said, could that be done this dry season? Think.
They're gonna be close. I mean, it's the end of January is our concern.
Yeah.
With the snowpacks looking, maybe there won't be.
Is this Question for Worox. Is this similar to the wire fabric base support structure stuff that we've seen going up at the Bear Creek Road?
On Bear Creek Road.
It is similar, yes.
So we described it.
Yeah, Chairman, Commissioner, Walker. This is a type of bridge system that has been used on the Sandy Creek Bridge on other, or on the Sandy Creek on other bridges such as Lance, maybe have used it on Lincoln Road, I think was the same system.
Lincoln Road and many of the LB bridges that have been done in the last couple of years, we've used the same. It is similar to what we used on Bear Creek, but it's not exactly what was used on Bear Creek.
Is Intermountain Gas willing to reimburse us for the extra costs if we do expend those extra costs and find another avenue?
I'd have to get approval for that, but potentially I could get that answer to you. We don't want to know what that number is, you know, if it's 50,000 or something. $500,000, what's that number?
Cover the weight when you're moving on the courthouse.
Yeah, but maybe the Intermountain Gas wing of the courthouse will be doing. So I think that's where we'd have to know what that number is.
This is Austin Black again. My other question to Lance and Worox, are we ready to go out to bid as it is currently? Do we have everything in place? I mean, when's the soonest we could do that? Because as I consider the time frame, I'm like, I don't even know that we're going to get started on the bridge before fall anyways.
Austin. Yeah, everything, as far as the engineering clients go, everything is in what we call an ESN or ready for bid. There are a permit there is a permit with the Army Corps that we're waiting for. It's been submitted. And then also some of the right of way that we're waiting for those offers to be accepted. So there is some time from now to when we could bid, and that looks like March timeframe is what we have on our schedule to wrap some of that stuff up.
So we're probably looking at fall for the bridge anyways, which you think?
With the way that we've got it designed with the bypass, we can construct when water is in because the water will continue to flow.
That makes sense. That was my question. I was just curious about.
But they can't move their pipe if there's water in there.
Correct.
So
But the construction, I guess the intent in our plans for this project would be a gas line to be relocated to new location as a stub until they can, the low peak season for them, that they can then make that relocation to new pipe so that the bridge can start construction during the irrigation season, and we can build those abutments. And then at the appropriate time, they can take that line that's in conflict, switch it over to the new line that would be relocated ahead of this. So that was the kind of the construction schedule that was anticipated.
it's like that relies on a lot of assumptions about a third party outside of our control. Intermountain Gas.
Yeah, and Chairman, Commissioner Mallard, the discussions for this started, I have a lapse in my memory, but not quite a year, well, maybe more than a year ago with coordination. So as we worked through it, some additional information came in as we did a pothole to find out where that gas line exactly was. That it showed that it had less of a conflict than what we thought in the beginning. And so that, I think that's kind of what stirred the conversations. Well, can it stay in place? Maybe Jay can correct me if I'm wrong, that maybe the idea was to relocate and then it's the conflict. I guess became more apparent of where it really was. That's kind of where the conversation changes. That I don't want to misspeak.
So Dave Robinson. Yeah, we had some conversations early on your mouth, yeah, sorry. Early on conversations, Horrocks has kind of wanted us to relocate from the get-go. Lance's idea to actually go out, get some depths, find out what our conflicts actually would be. And that's kind of where we proceeded from there. And, it turned out to be not near as bad as what was originally anticipated, so.
Can someone speak on what the conflict, how much of the pipe is actually in the footing? From what I've been provided, it's like about,
Yeah, Chairman, Commissioners, from the limited potholing that we've done, we've identified where, and this came Intermountain Gas, and they recorded these measurements as well as the personnel doing the pothole. But we've identified where the depth of the gas line is underneath Sand Creek and then where it is underneath the roadway. So there are some assumptions there making that connection from underneath Sand Creek to underneath the roadway. There's a diagonal connection. It comes up vertically and it also changes direction horizontally. So it's not very straightforward, I guess, as far as an easy thing to understand, but there is an assumption where that diagonal piece comes from underneath the Sand Creek to the line underneath the roadway, that it intersects the bottom of where the abutment is, the very bottom. It come up into it about roughly a foot. So it's not like in the middle, it's more towards the bottom is what we assumed. That's concept. We did actually send a memo. I don't know if the commissioners have got it.
Throw it on big screens.
Yeah.
So they've seen the memo. It's not
It's clear.
dimensional.
Yeah,
So it's hard to, again, get the scope of exactly what's in conflict, because again, it does come up at a 45 and it's peaked at basically the same 45 too. So it's a compound angle up through the bottom.
would it be appropriate if I could draw? Like what?
If that.
I'm trying to picture a 6
And I can
line
here
here
and
and
have
having
you
to put a
find possibly use for an artist's eye.
Sorry, I'm spraying tonight up your mountain gas as well. And I mean, he's probably gonna draw it better than I can explain it, but on paper, if you talk about the bridge and the pipe, this little section, like literally a foot, again, from my view of the drawing, on this one end is the conflict from the abutment of the bridge and the pipe.
So that, sorry, Commissioner Walker. Is this conflict occurring at the end of the gravelly footing?
Yes.
Middle.
Yeah, furthest away from the,
Same which,
One location.
yeah.
be a drafter, it's looking great.
Not yellow. We have an existing gas line. Comes in, let's see, I'm trying to draw it with the new bridge, but essentially what it does is dives down through the abutment, I'm sorry. And comes up, so it changes direction horizontally because there was an existing bridge here. So they originally went around it. And now we're putting this bridge in and it comes into conflict here. So it changes directions horizontally, but if we were to look at a cross section, or a profile, if we were to cut this in half and rotate it half road, we'd have the abutments that are gonna be built for the bridge. Here's the bridge deck. This is kind of the Sand Creek. And that gas line profiles underneath the road, it dives down like this, and then it comes up, intersects something like that. So this spot here, okay, is in context, thank you. And then the concern our bridge engineers have is that where this is changing directions vertically and horizontally, having construction crews work around the pipe and having the type of equipment that they want to compact on to get, because compaction is key on these abutment walls. They do it in like a fabric that wraps it. We call it like a burrito. You wrap your burrito and then we put a wire. And you do this in several different layers, and the strength comes from your compaction of each layer. So even when we're on top, on several layers, we're still using roller equipment to get the compaction. So that's some of that settlement during construction, and then even afterwards, the soil underneath, with the new load there that hasn't been seen, it'll settle too. So we want to make sure that this abutment has its integrity, and if it does settle, because it will, that it doesn't impact the pipe. So that's some of the engineering that will go into making sure that we're reducing the risk on the engineering side to the pipe. There's a little bit of a level of effort there, plus the risk during construction. So in my professional opinion, the risk, trying to reduce any risk to the county is what we want to consider. There's a lot of things we can do to engineer out risk. But anyway, does that, any questions?
No, that's great. I appreciate the drawing. Yeah. Clear the water, consider sand on the bridge.
Yeah.
And footings and everything. That's really useful.
This is Austin Black again. Just one more question, Drew. Has Sporox done this before? Have you ever run into this scenario before that you've done the same engineering for similar?
Through mapping again, I personally have not seen this with the gas line, if that's in particular. Previous to Horrocks, coming from the Idaho Transportation Department, we would normally have the utilities relocated. I know that like we talked about the taxpayer and your consumers being one and the same. So we always want to be workable where we can. There are lots of ways to do different types of engineering to get to this. So I'm not saying it's not impossible. It's just nothing that I have searched for. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other discussion? I guess I will chime in. So schedule is important for all of us here, Intermountain Gas and us. And when I sent out the letter, we did meet with Intermountain Gas, and one of the concerns they truly do have is the ability to get this work done if they're told that they need to do it. And so that's why we got this on the schedule as soon as we could. Because schedule and how this happens is very important to Intermountain Gas. It's very important to Bonneville County.
Yeah. So. Let's do that.
I ask one more question, Chairman? To Drew. Drew, this is Austin again. How long do you think it would take Horrocks to get us any estimate of what it may cost us to do the additional engineering to figure out if it was possible to leave it in the same place?
Chairman Austin, we would make this a priority because we want to keep things moving. So if we could have a week, I would imagine we could turn it. Ideas.
Thank you.
Then I'd make a motion that we, put this on next week's calendar and table it for now, so that we have time to see whether there are options there are. If it's only going to take a week, that sounds like something.
Take a motion and second.
She motioned and I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Thanks all of you for coming. We've been very
Huge decision for.
Yeah, thank you, commissioners. I mean, ultimately, we want to work together.
We don't want anybody to have to spend $500,000 if they don't have to, but also don't want anybody.
Yep, we understand. We understand.
Search power plant being out of gas during the 3 days of minus 30 degrees. Winds on their winds.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want the gas line breaking.
Yep, we all understand.
Closest area is 3 inch high pressure, which betters the energy break. Yeah.
Only been on blowdowns of this kind of pressure, and I have to say you feel it in your soul. So,
Thank you.
thank you, commissioners.
How thick is the break line?
Is it 250 wall or how big is the pipe?
Under the canal's 375 wall.
So what does that equate to non-engineering?
Yeah. Put that in
What does
English.
actually equate to non-engineering?
Or actually, can you put that in American?
3/8. 3/8.
Okay.
And what's the tensile strength of a section of pipe that diameter under pressure, which adds to the tensile strength?
Yeah, well, it's 60,000.
That's good.
Yeah.
Which I think is relative to understanding the actual risk.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, commissioners. Thank you. Nice meeting you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, right on the agenda is for the review and signing the Crowley Townhomes Final Plat. Or 45th East, 33. Gas station right down the town.
It's the Rusty Taco, right?
Yes, what's that?
Storage units?
No, townhomes,
Really?
yes.
How much?
They didn't want to rusty taco.
Well, Well, it says townhomes, so that's where they look like they're in sideways on one way. Way the other.
Yeah.
So in other words, there's gonna be a sidewalk going to ease to frontage is what it looks like to me. So,
And these are gonna be county, not Emery sector there.
We are gonna be county. This is a county subdivision.
we are, but that's why Nation and I are going over the comprehensive plans right now, but until then, we can't stop
Say
it.
no.
And this is very close to other developments, so I don't know where it needs to be annexed into, but there's houses all around it.
Yeah, our county houses,
Yeah.
houses all around it.
In a county subdivision.
Yes.
Through Deanna.
If you propose that to annex all of it, I would support it.
In motion to approve the Crowley Townhome subdivision.
These have all been approved and reviewed.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to review and sign the Crowley Townhomes Final Plat.
I guess. Sounds.
Yeah,
She handed it up there.
It's-
that's free of bills.
Don't say motion. I know.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Signatures, 3 pages long.
Three different signatures. And you didn't see the development agreement because the public improvements were essentially already done when they put the gas station in.
Oh. Hey.
We can start hauling rubber, Blair.
Still waiting for the state to approve our agenda. Yeah. They started grinding. Yeah. What's that? Are they starting to grind?
They started, yeah, they started this morning.
So which was it, you, Commissioner Hawkins was on there? I checked, I mean, 2 or 3 times yesterday and then it's finished, when it's finishing up, I stopped by and made sure the rims and stuff were out of the way and keep indication. He did good yesterday, back out there going again today.
So we have to peel rubber off the rims, or as he's finding.
Yeah, we're also
Get the collection, straight metal stuff, then.
and to offset that expense, we'll get the metal off the rim. Right. It's going good, that we are finding a lot more oversized truck tires in there. And they seem to be old enough that they're grinding.
They're awful big tractor tires.
Yeah. Ground them right at the very last night to kill the water. So he holds those back and stuff. See that? But it's that part of it is going good. I'm gonna stop and stay off and see if I can spur that thing along with it. See what the roads are coming. They've been on to the county for many years to get that cleaned up. Now we have the opportunity down because it's a simple boilerplate cut paste. Man, it's not like we're recreating the
We're
wheels.
still short people in the office.
Pardon me?
Are they still short people in the office?
They're fully staffed here. But for some reason, I don't understand why everything from the local office has to go to the office.
Lack of trust.
I guess.
So what is it that, it's an agreement or
It's an amendment to our current operation plan. So in order for us to landfill them, it has to be part of our operation plan. And our operation plan included it we wrote it out the last time because we weren't utilizing that language in our operation plan, so we wrote it out. But now we're back now into this now. And we're also going to try some different type alternative data cover. And part of that is a component of these shredded tires. And so we need to start the process over again, but it was in our operation plan in 06. We wrote it out. The next time that we redid our operation plan for Peterson Hill, we wrote it out because we were utilizing it. We have shredded tires up in cells. It's not like we're introducing something new.
Yeah.
And it's basically just an amendment to the current operation plan we have. But, like I said,
And then the one that we have proposed, they still have.
and it's just simple. And I talked to the health department. The health department is actually who will write us the letter. Because right now they're still in control of the operation plan. And Nathan is 100% on board with sending the information that this machine will meet the 65% reduction. And so why the state continues to be frustrating, I have no idea. So I'm going to stop at the local office here and see if I can spur that thing along.
take donuts? Would I help? Anybody else contacted or?
If a commissioner would talk to Renzi or Troy and maybe see if we could spur that along, we definitely bring it to their attention that they've been after us for years. The county to take the lead on that and clean that up, and here we are.
Yeah.
They're a DEQ,
Local officer of the state.
local office.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was thinking.
yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind, if one of you would mind spurring that along a little bit, I mean, you're gonna have to stop the time to you, obviously. It would be nice, like I said, they've been after us for years, now we have the opportunity and now they're dragging their.
So it's the amendment to the plan, the landfill plan.
The operation.
Side note, come across any oversized rims?
Pardon?
You come across any oversized rims in there,
There's,
truck or
yeah,
semi or tractor? Them off the side for Parks and Rec.
oh, okay.
Inexpensive fire rings.
Oh,
So you're calling it, Carl?
right. Yeah, if we cannot, we can haul to Bernie to keep ourselves going until they.
But that
So
seems
that's
kind of
kind of
ridiculous.
expensive.
He's got some room out there to pile.
Yeah, the problem is we're gonna box ourselves into a corner if we can't get them out of the way because of where we're kind of configured there, we're kind of boxing ourselves out of space.
So will DEQ not even let us just take them up there and pile them there for now until?
Not right now, Nathan, I talked to Nathan just before I walked in, and he's, like you said, he's ready to, with the stroke of the pen, and approve it moving forward, because he thinks it's a no-brainer. We're sustaining it. And actually, they're not getting kickback, but it's not getting anything, no response.
Yeah.
If we,
Wait,
we're not, should we put it early at the.
Could make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I'm thinking,
Okay.
Did we get the plot signed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stopping tires.
I was just gonna say, I talked to Drew and them all out there, Intermountain Gas, just to make sure they were on the same page. Intermountain Gas has some other stuff. It sounds like they were gonna send Drew, and Drew was gonna make sure he got a hold of the geotech today, because that's really who needs to have the comfort level that it could be done, so. kind of got them lined out.
So that part where it's actually making conflict in that bid, is that the concrete part of the abutment?
No.
It's not.
It's not concrete enough.
And Intermountain Gas said they had to do the same thing on 17th Street, but it was a sewer line, not a gas line.
Which is
And they
far easier to break.
they had a way that they kind of cased it and came up with that.